silly conversations. We're going to get started. This is a place where we like to connect with students and allow you to connect with influencers and young professionals in the city to learn all the things that you've been thinking about during this time. And the topic for today is on having a job virtually and being able to conduct an interview virtually and like everything that comes along with that. So today we have Vaughn Brown, who is the talent experience manager at Campbell Soup Company. And we're really excited to talk to him about his position in Campbell Soup, what he does, who he works with, and what makes him qualified to know all of the things that he knows about having a virtual job right now. And he's going to share some really cool tips and advice for you all. If you are looking for a job, whether that be virtually, or if you are already in an internship or a position that had to switch from in-person to virtually during this time, we're going to be talking about all of that and how to really be successful in those positions and how to take advantage of everything that comes along with that. So, well, I want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you for coming and chatting with us. I'm going to read your bio and then we can hop into the conversation as well. I do want to put out this disclaimer. Feel free to ask any questions in the comment box during this time. Any things that you would like us to repeat or go over again, I'm happy to talk about those things. So the chat box will be our main point of communication, and we will be looking for 10 students who are really engaged today because we have 10 gift cards to Honeygrow that we're going to be passing out at the end of this call. So if you like food, like most of us, make sure that you're engaging, that you're asking questions, you're reaching out to Vaughn for advice, and we'll be looking for 10 lucky students who are engaging to give Honeygrow gift cards to, because who doesn't love Honeygrow? All right, Vaughn is currently working at Campbell Soup Company as a talent experience manager, focusing on leading university and diversity recruiting programs for the enterprise. Over the past 13 years, Vaughn has built a career focused on talent acquisition, talent development, recruiting, and HR management with retail organizations including Gap, American Eagle Outfitters, Ross, and the TJ Maxx companies. Love TJ Maxx. I'm there like 15 times a week. He earned his BA degree in industrial organization psychology and HR management from the College of New Jersey. Vaughn grew up in Camden County, New Jersey originally, and has lived in the greater New York City area as well as the San Francisco Bay Area prior to moving back to the Vaughn, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. We appreciate it. Thanks everybody for joining.
Of course, of course. So like I said, we're definitely excited to learn about your experience about working at Campbell Soup Company now, and every place else that you have worked as well. And I guess a great place to start the conversation off was you actually just started at Campbell Soup this year. So how has your new role been, and what has it been like working from home virtually now? And what does your day-to-day really look like?
Yeah, I can't even believe it's been 6 months already. So I started with Campbell back in March, right towards the end when the pandemic really started taking off. And I joined 2 weeks into when the work from home protocol came out for Campbell Soup. And it was interesting. I was nervous at first, but I was fortunate to have constant communication with the team ahead of time, and they FedExed a computer, they FedExed the supplies I would need, and it was a virtual onboarding experience. And I was actually a part of one of the first groups of folks to be onboarded fully virtual post-COVID. Now we have so Campbell Soup, we have offices spread throughout the North America from Charlotte to Norwalk, Portland, Oregon area, Hanover, and we have field and sales and plant locations all throughout the U.S. So we do have some folks that work fully virtual, but for my experience has been really great. We've been really collaborative and lots of video conversations, and it's been great.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about your role as the talent acquisition manager or experience manager? What do you do in your role, and how does that connect to university and diversity?
Yeah, it's been a really great. It's been really great. So with the university side of my position, so we have internship, we have co-ops and full-time college programs throughout the enterprise. And so my role has really been helping focus what our strategy is, how we connect with students across the US, how do we have a great experience set up for our interns? And so last season, really the focus was around how do we get ready for a virtual experience? So we've never done a virtual internship program before, and I know a lot of companies unfortunately either had to delay, pause, or cancel their program, but we quickly said that we wanted to continue, not even knowing what it would look like, to be honest with you. And so, we sort of banded together, put task force teams together to kind of think about can we give a meaningful experience, and what does that look like from a virtual standpoint? So we put a lot of attention and focus on trying to continue our program and make sure that it was a great experience. And so partnering with the hiring teams, partnering with business functions, and supporting the interns through the summer program, as well as our co-ops finishing out from last spring as well. And so then the other side of my role with diversity recruiting, what a time for diversity recruitment. It was amazing to see that Campbell had an interest to reignite our diversity programs, which is the major part of my role, supporting our opportunities to connect with talent in different networks and in different organizations than what we typically do. And so this past season, with the George Floyd murder and the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement, and just diversity being a huge initiative for corporate America more than ever before, I've sort of turned my attention from building out programs and engaging events and really turn my focus onto the full talent acquisition program and process, and how do we insert more inclusive behaviors and diffuse unconscious bias, and educate our leaders so that we're set up to be who we want to be and who we are, inclusive and diverse, and trying to trailblaze to drive change.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a time indeed to be balancing and to be in that world. But it's awesome that you all chose so early to continue the programs, especially for interns, because I think a lot of students have been relying on these internships now, even more so, to stay connected, to still be in their fields, to still learn and gain knowledge, especially like over the summer. So definitely kudos to y'all. We do have a question in the comments regarding resumes. So I'm going to shift a little bit and just really talking about the virtual job process in general, and any job interview process and in any resume process, there's always taking time to figure out how to stand out, how to be different, how to be yourself also as well. And so doing all that virtually, can you talk about maybe if there is a difference or what that process really looks like now virtually, as far as being outstanding on your resume or showing up to your interview virtually and still being able to convey yourself in a way that, is authentic, but also confident as well?
Definitely. So from a resume standpoint, I find that I have conversations with folks and they're telling me about their experiences and things that they've done, and the information is not on the resume. So I'm like, why is the information not on your resume? All experience counts. All experience matters. And so, if you're part of a club or organization, you do volunteer work, that should be on your resume because that speaks to your experiences. And so I just say, all experience is good experience, and you want to make sure that you're highlighting that information on your resume. From an interview standpoint, I'll say that the virtual interview definitely is, I feel like the interviewer has a leg up more than ever before. Like thinking about an open book test, it's always great to have your notes, to have your thoughts about what you want to convey in your interview. And so being able to have a sheet of paper right in front of you that you can have queued up with all of your talking points, your accomplishments, the challenges that you overcome, things that you want to mention that about the company. So having that sheet of paper or some sort of notes next to your screen that the recruiter can't see or the interviewer can't see, I think is a really great call out. And then the basics, just making sure that you're in a quiet space, wear earphones if there's people around you, and pay attention to your background. So like if it's your bedroom, make sure your bed is made up or whatever that may be, or blur your background if you need to. But just being conscious of the background too is something to be newly thoughtful of with a virtual interview.
Yeah, absolutely. So the second part of that same question regarding resumes was that this person that's asking is a freshman and they don't have any club or experience yet that they
Yep.
can put on their resume. And she says it's really hard, or it's really hard to be active virtually. Do you have any advice for that? Like how to navigate that?
Yeah, that's a great call. So then, in that respect, I would maybe give more attention to your degree program. So, what is your major? What are some of the courses you're taking? What are some of the projects that you have that you enjoy and that you led and that you had an opportunity to get experience from and showcasing your education in a way where that is your experience even more so. And then I'll say get active now. There's never too late to join a new organization, and the minute you get admitted to that organization, you can put it right on your resume and say member, and volunteer to speak up, to say, hey, I'm happy to host an event, whatever that may be, a virtual event, a virtual engagement, and then immediately you can put that right on your resume. So you can build that experience pretty quickly.
Absolutely. And I would second that. A lot of organizations, especially, I'm not sure if you're located in Philadelphia, but a lot of organizations, especially like to the Philadelphia area, have been reaching out through their email list, through their newsletters, looking for people to join their virtual events or looking to join their organizations, their boards, adding them as members. So really searching out and building which ones you may want to be a part of, and joining their email list and seeing what things come through that tunnel as well. We have a lot of questions coming through. A lot of Campbell soup love as well. The next question that we have is, in addition, is there any way for us to utilize networking sites like LinkedIn during the situation as well?
Thank you for the question, because it's I feel like I should take stock in LinkedIn for how much I talk about them, but I think LinkedIn is an amazing platform that just really opens up networking in a way that gives so much access. So it's a tool that will help you be able to bridge for opportunities. I recommend following the organizations that you have an interest in. If you're interested in a career with an organization, look up their recruitment team and connect with them. Let them know who you are. Let them know your interest. If you've got a specific focus or job that you aspire to in an organization, find the person that's doing it and connect with them. Those connections are invaluable, and definitely do that.
Highly suggest. The next question that we have from Jenna: how do you feel about metrics on the resume? I feel like some are challenging to measure or prove.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always great to be able to talk about specifics when you can, if that's available to you, for a percent improvement or to showcase a volume of work that you've done or driven impact to. I think it's an optional thing. If you've got proof, if you've got hard data to present, yeah, I say go for it.
Awesome. Another question that we have: I've always been told to keep a resume to one page if possible. If there is such a thing as too much, is there such a thing as too much on a resume?
I think one page definitely is enough when you're still just starting out in your career. I think as you grow in time with experience, one page turns into being just too limiting. But I always look at a resume page as real estate space. And so what you want to do is give the most space to what you have been most proud of, that showcases what you want to do more of, which showcases your largest accomplishments. One page typically, I think, should suffice in the beginning, but then as years grow and you go through a different number of opportunities, then that may be when you can expand.
Absolutely, 100% agree. I'm going to kick it back to just the virtual process in general. So you've gone through your virtual interview, you've did your resume, and you have your experience on it, and you actually get the job, you know? So now being able to do onboarding virtually, and you had talked about how your company, Campbell Soup Company, had sent you the things that you needed, and you did your onboarding process virtually. Can you talk about, or maybe give any advice during the onboarding process to students of how to understand and make sure that you're completely getting all the knowledge that's being passed to you, making sure that you're showing up and being in like a welcoming atmosphere, things like that, just during the onboarding process?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's a really good nod, and it's a few things I think that are really critical to consider when joining virtual in that respect. So, in terms of the things that you have control over as an individual, I think the networking element never really stops. So you got the job, you started in the intern position in your career role, still continue to network. Seek out to make connections within the organization so that you can start to meet different folks that have different jobs, different areas of focus, different projects that might overlap with some of the things that you want to be a part of, or that may intersect with the job that you have entail. And so continuing to grow that network from inner systems that you may have within the organization, or continuing with LinkedIn. That's also another option. In terms of sort of like the job respect and making sure that you're able to be successful with the job that you have in hand, communication is everything. And so making sure that you've got an understanding of how your team communicates, having check-ins, having time points kind of organized and set, whether it's weekly or bi-weekly, with the people that you work with, to make sure that you've got that natural crossover in place so that you can know what's happening around you, which is important. And then from like a group standpoint, what we've been able to do, which has been amazing, is having like virtual coffee chats and virtual group happy hours and engagements. One time we had one of the trainers in our gym from the corporate campus do a virtual crash. She crashed our meeting and came in with like some calisthenics that we can do virtually, and we all got out our chairs and like trying to do jumping jacks and such. So it's like different things you can do from a communication standpoint, from networking, and really just trying to make an effort to build community with your team.
Absolutely, absolutely. Another question that we have in the audience, and this goes specifically to building relationships with your coworkers. So even after your onboarding process, and you're still relatively new to the field, how to authentically and genuinely build relationships with coworkers that you may have like never even met in person. Do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, I think a good route to go would be to just set up an informal chat. It's what I would advise to someone that's working live in person. It's the same thing in a virtual standpoint, and it's making your connection, making your first connect, and saying, who else should I know, or who else would you recommend I reach out to, or if you already know the name, even more the great, and send an email or send a message or a calendar invite saying, hey, I would love to get 25 minutes to catch up with you. What your calendar look like? And I put a time out for us just to connect and not have any objectives other than getting to know their role, what they do, and what their focus is, and sharing what your role is, what you're going to be doing or hope to do, and then learning about their background and sharing who you are, and getting to know what they do for fun and such is always a great route to go to start to build those relationships.
Yeah, Absolutely. I always recommend to do informational interviews, even if you're not necessarily even in the company yet. So the
Yeah.
same thing, like how you had mentioned, finding people on LinkedIn that you would want to work with or possibly have a similar position, reaching out to them and doing an informational interview. It can never hurt in any way. And the worst thing that they could say is no. And if that's the case, then so be it. But it's always good to, reach out, and like you said, communication is everything. Another question in regards to just company culture. Um, Having and seeking out the company culture, making sure that this is a place that you actually enjoy working in, that supports you. And so, you working in the diversity department, can you talk about how to navigate the company culture virtually and making sure that it's someplace that you actually feel and are supported in?
Yeah, so once you have the job that you're in and you want to try to navigate and understand the culture. um, so one of the things that my organization has is employee resource groups, and so ERGs we call them, and ERGs are networks of groups of folks that are a part of a group, a social group, and it aligns folks, whether if it's from a affinity standpoint or early career, young and trying to figure out how to navigate the company, or interested in the heritage of our company. There's several of them, and so signing up for an ERG group is something that I would recommend to sort of start to grow a network outside of your function and outside of your traditional group. And then asking the people that you work with, whether it's your direct boss or coworkers or team within your pod, ask them exploratory questions to know more about the organization as a whole. And you mentioned X department, research and development, food sciences. Who are they? Who's somebody you recommend I talk to? And then set up a time to meet with them, and then now you can start to pick their brain and learn about a whole nother area of the company that you may not have. Which is
Someone's
nice.
Someone's asking in the chat, how do you join ERGs or start them if they don't exist in your company?
Oh, that's a really good question. So I would there's many ways to kind of go about that, and so I would say looking for someone in the leadership role that you can grab the ear of, and whether if you network up from your direct boss and kind of network from there, or if you have access to someone in a leadership role that that may also be interested in what you are going after, have a conversation and let them know your interest. And it doesn't have to be a formal program. It can literally just be a group that you get together and you talk and you share stories and you share projects and you connect with, and then in time you can grow that into something more formal.
Absolutely. I remember in my internship last year, a group of people would bond over Game of Thrones. So when Game of Thrones would come out, they would all like congregate in the lunch area, and then that's how like that was their basis of what they met, and then they would continue to do projects and like build relationships through that. So
I love it. That's a
I
great
love how you brought that up.
idea.
Another question in regards to being able to talk about how to set up your workspace at home. So I think that this is super important because there's this debate or if we're actually living at work or working at home, and having like a clear line in defining what space is actually like space to relax and rest and do normal life things, and then what space is particularly for working. Can you talk about setting up a good workspace and what that looks like, making sure that it's professional, but you're also comfortable because you're going to be here for most of the day as well?
What an exciting question. And I think this is so individualistic per style. I've ended up working in almost every room in my space. I was on the sofa, I was in the kitchen, on the counter because I wanted to stand up. I was tired of sitting down. I went outside, it was everywhere. And so I sort of netted out into a quiet space that I could kind of create, where it was separate from where I had my relaxation time, because that line of separation sometimes is necessary and important, because the area that you relax in, it's tough to make it the area that you work in, because then how do you have that line and feel like you can kind of separate? So that was important, at least from my experience. And then in terms of setting up a workstation, I found being able to get a second monitor was a huge game changer. So if you have the ability to do that, I would highly recommend it, because it just kind of increased my, I guess, productivity, if you will, and just made working a lot more comfortable.
Absolutely. Everyone's saying in the comments, it's hard to find a good spot, and separating yourself is a trouble area. And I think a lot of us had to struggle with that. And like you had mentioned, going from each room, finding your spot, your comfortable spot. And it really takes time to figure out, because I had a standing desk at work and I tried to create one at home and it didn't necessarily work out. I've moved from rooms to, I'm in my parents' bedroom right now. So being able to find your comfortable spaces is really important.
Yeah, at one point I had like these little snack TV tables.
Yeah.
And I would pop my laptop on and just kind of like make sure the background was clear, and you go for it. So whatever works, I'd say.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Love the TV tables. We have a question. Another question that I have is how to stay active and get some movement in throughout the workday.
Yeah, that's a good call out as well. So your schedule is something I think is really important to kind of be mindful of. So knowing when you're on, when you're clocked in, or when you're working, and having that sort of time frame carved out is important, but also doing the same thing for your lunch break, for your downtime, even putting on a calendar block for a 30-minute time frame where it's lunch, and it's you're showing up busy, and you're able to get up from your workspace, go outside, take a walk if you can. I think that detaching from the screen in the middle of the day is highly healthy. So I highly advise blocking out a little bit of time, even 15 minutes if necessary.
Absolutely. So, Vaughn, we heard that Campbell's is hiring, and I saw a couple people asking in the chat if Campbell's is hiring. So, would you be able to talk about the positions that you are hiring for? Yeah, let's start there.
Perfect. So, from a university intern and co-op opportunity, and we also have full-time college hire jobs too. After graduation, you go into a rotational program. But I think I'd be remiss if I didn't just pause for a second and say, a little bit about Campbell. So we are located, our world headquarters is actually in Camden, right across the river from Philly. And it is actually a really gorgeous campus. And while that is our world headquarters, we have two major operations, again, in Charlotte and in Norwalk, other locations as well. But the majority of our internship positions stem from those locations, as well as our plants. And they really span the gamut of the various departments. So supply chain is very huge for us. So we've got a very robust supply chain internship program and rotational program post-graduation. We've got marketing, brand marketing, which is really cool, and consumer insights. We do undergraduate and graduate internship programs there. Those are two of our biggest ones, I'll say. And then we've got our research and development, food sciences, engineers, package development, human resources, IT, government affairs, CSR. There's so much. And so what happens is I always say sign up for notifications with us, because we turn on positions all through the year. We have most of our internships over the summertime, between May and July, maybe August. But we do have co-op opportunities that are 3 to 6 months for the fall and spring semester as well.
Awesome. Would you be able to talk about the students that or employers that you are looking for, like what qualifications or what things that necessarily make people stand out in these certain positions, or at least like within your department of university and diversity? What would you be looking for in a candidate?
Definitely. One last plug for finance, because I realized I didn't say finance, and Joe and that team would kill me if I didn't say finance. Full-time and internship opportunities. But what do we look for? It's so interesting. It's creativity, being agile. And I think this year, 2020, has kind of made all of us more, I say, privy to being flexible, agile, nimble. And those are the things that we look for in candidates that's able to come in, have fresh perspective and thoughts, and be comfortable to stand in those thoughts and vocalize them. Having some drive, some organization, and being authentic. Those are the qualities that we value the most. And then, skill sets and focus kind of comes secondary.
We love that. Definitely creativity. A question that we got a little bit earlier, and this is more so for post-COVID in regards to being able to actually work at Campbell's. Does Campbell's have a shuttle service that they offer for the Philadelphia area if people who don't have a car or like a mode of transportation being able to get to the office?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, we do. So it's interesting because with us being located in Camden, we have a couple of drop spots in Philly, Suburban Square, and a couple of them in Center City as well, getting you into directly to our doorstep, and then right after every 15-30 minutes before and after. I've had a chance to experience it myself, but I hear a lot of folks actually depend on that daily, and it's a really great benefit.
Absolutely. That was a really good question. So one last question that I particularly have, and before I ask this, I'm going to encourage anyone, if you have any other personal questions or things that you really want to know just about the virtual experience, before we sign off here and you want to ask Vaughn, please feel free to drop those questions and comments in the chat. We would definitely love to get those answered. So my last question for you, Vaughn, is the number one piece of advice that you would give to all of the students here as they're entering the job market at this time. If you could give one piece of advice, what would it be?
Network. Networking is everything. It is everything. Networking, and I'm just going to say one more thing. I'm sorry.
Let's go.
and doing research, like when you're planning out your career search, you should do research for yourself, just like you would if it was a course, and sort of plot out a map and look at the industry you're going into, what companies you're interested in, and what do they stand for? What are they about? And do their values line up with yours? And so doing your research is everything.
Absolutely. JC is saying, thank you so much for answering the shuttle question. It's the only thing that deterred me from applying. So hopefully.
Oh, okay, there you go. Come on and apply.
Hopefully definitely take some time to apply. Vaughn, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Would you be able to share your contact information? I know we talked about LinkedIn. If you could possibly share your LinkedIn so that everyone here could connect with you and stay connected to everything that Campbell's Soup Company is doing as well.
Definitely we'll do that. Feel free to connect with me if you have any questions off to the side. I'll pop in my LinkedIn into the chat in just a second.
Awesome. Another question that we have is there a philanthropic division of Campbell's?
Yeah, so we have a whole team that's dedicated to our foundation. So we have a foundation that's set up to support with our local communities and with our giving campaigns and with our volunteerism that we have as well, headed up by Tim Fortunato, and they're amazing for what they're doing at the scale that they're doing for not a large team, I'll say, and so with nutrition programs that we're supporting within the Camden City School District, as well as some of the other neighborhoods that we have a local presence in as well. We really look at building a local presence where we have our offices or our plant locations at, and then we sort of take a stand from a community standpoint. But then we also have some things that we do from a national standpoint, like our giving campaigns that we just launched to support additional organizations that are taking a stand to support diverse talent, be able to build a career and drive forward. So yeah, we do. It's really great.
Awesome. One question we do have that just came in, someone wants to know, which business area are you specifically responsible for recruiting for?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a little bit of everything, honestly. So, you know, with my focus from the college standpoint, we have several entities, several departments and functions that are already engaged with the internship program. I've been actually working to kind of educate others on the benefit of joining in to support with their talent needs. And so it's across the whole organization and not just in Camden, but across North America, honestly. And then the same goes for diversity. We have an ambition to increase our diverse talent at every level of the organization. So what is our strategy? What is our approach? And who are we aligned with? What networks are we a part of, like Campus Philly, to reach talent, and making sure that we're, you know, leveraging those partners to support for all of our areas. So not just one function, but all.
Absolutely. And I see that you dropped your LinkedIn link in the chat box. So anyone who is interested in connecting with Vaughn after this, if you have any other questions and you want to chat with him or just connect with him, feel free to do that and tap that link as well. I want to thank you so much, Vaughn, again, for coming on and sharing your advice, sharing your experience, and just chatting with us today. I know I definitely took a lot from today's conversation, and I hope that all the other students will as well, and I hope that they apply too to Campbell Soup Company. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was such a great talk, and thank you everybody for the engaging questions.
Absolutely. And I want to give a shout out to our 10 winners for the Honeygrow gift cards. We dropped it in the chat, all of the winners. So make sure to look out for an email coming from Campus Philly after today's event with how to use your gift cards to Honeygrow. Because who doesn't love Honeygrow? So thank you all for being engaging and for coming on today and spending some time with Campus Philly. I definitely want to encourage everyone for next week's event. We're going to be switching it up a little bit because we actually have a virtual career event that's happening. This is our first one, so we're really excited. It'll be October 1st. We're really excited to have and work with companies like Campbell Soup Company and connect them to you. So Vaughn talked about all the amazing positions, and he just dropped the link for career notifications. And there are going to be a bunch of other companies at Spark Philly next week, which is the career virtual event, talking about what they do and showing you the positions that they're currently hiring for internships, for students who are actually in school looking for entry-level positions, or even if you know someone that's a recent grad, or if you yourself are a recent grad and you're looking for a position, definitely feel free. We dropped the link to register for Spark Philly next Wednesday, October 1st. Feel free to connect with us and make sure that you come to the event and have a good time and connect with some recruiters as well. So I again want to say thank you to Vaughn. Thank you to everyone coming on. I want you all to click on the links that were just dropped, Campbell Soup Company internship information. Feel free to download that as well. Thank you, Vaughn, for that. Someone already said I RSVP'd for Spark. Super exciting. We definitely hope to see you there. And we'll be sending all of these links as well as the PDF that we just shared in a follow-up email after this. So thank you all again for coming on. And a quick reminder, if you were a Honeygrow gift card winner, definitely make sure to look out for that email as well too. So we're going to sign off for now, but we definitely hope to see you all next week for Spark Philly. And we hope you are safe and well until then. Bye, everyone.
Thank
Bye,
you.
thank you.
Bye.